Hi, I'm Jeff, and welcome to another one of my videos where I take a look at all the new comic books coming out on either August 15th or 16th, 2023, and I ask myself the question, what one new comic book would I buy this week if I could buy just one book? Usually we start off these videos by taking a look back at my pick from 2 weeks ago, but I didn't have a pick 2 weeks ago. I had a soft pick for all of you, but I had no official pick. My soft pick for all of you was The Sacrificers, issue number 1. I didn't read it, so I can't comment on it. If you did read it, I'd be curious to know your thoughts down in the comments. Let's go ahead now and move forward and take a look at the books that are coming out this week. The first book I want to tell you about is one of the 3 books that I will be buying this week. And that book is X-Men, Days of Future Past, Doomsday, issue number 2 of a 4-issue limited series from Marvel Comics. Once again, this tells the story leading up to the events that took place in X-Men issues number 141 and 142. This is the whole Days of Future Past storyline. This backstory to the events that led up to the future storyline in those 2 X-Men books I just mentioned to you is an interesting one and was compelling enough for me to check out, and issue number 1 was good enough and entertaining enough for me to continue with the series. So I will be picking up issue number 2, 3, and 4. I enjoyed it. The other book that I am absolutely buying this week is, no surprise, Something is Killing the Children, issue number 32 from Boom Studios. Something is Killing the Children is my favorite comic book. It's really, really good. I love it. You all know how much I love it. You all know that it's good. Either you're reading it or you're not at this point. I know I am. The last book I'll be buying this week will be my just one book pick. We'll get to that a little later in the video. The next book I want to tell you about is a new book. It is What If Dark? Moon Knight, issue number 1 from Marvel Comics. Here's what you need to know. The question being answered is, what if Moon Knight did not survive his battle with Bushmen? I'm sure if you're a big, gigantic Moon Knight fan, or maybe just an average Moon Knight fan, you know exactly what they're referring to, what this battle with Bushmen is. I have never read a Moon Knight comic book. I saw the Disney Plus series, I liked it, but I've never read the comic book, so I have no idea what they're talking about. So maybe this is like an oh wow moment of like, oh, I can't wait to read this what if story. That was a big deal. Unfortunately for me, I don't know the first thing about it, so I can't comment on it, but I do really like what if stories a lot. I've mentioned that in previous videos. If this is for you, enjoy. The next book I want to tell you about is a new book. It is called Uncanny Avengers, issue number 1 of a 5-issue limited series from Marvel Comics. This is interesting to me because there's a lot of stuff that's coming out of the Hellfire Club, the Hellfire Gala that just took place. Every year they do the Hellfire Gala thing. Something significant happens that then like pushes the story of the X universe, I'll call it, forward. This is more the Fall of X storyline, which is coming from the fallout of whatever happened at the Hellfire Gala. I'm not in the loop. I'm a gigantic X-Men fan, and I keep wanting to get back into the modern X-Men comic books, but I can't find something that interests me. But we're starting to get there because books like this I find interesting. If a team, and this is kind of just X-Men themed in a way, but it's not technically an X-Men book. If a team of Captain America, Rogue, Deadpool, Quicksilver, Psylocke, and Monet does something for you, and I could understand why it would, this might be a book for you to consider picking up this week. Along those very same lines, I want to also mention that one of these covers is part of the Alex Ross homage to the 90s X-Men issue number 1 cover by Jim Lee. We'll get more into that in just a second. But I want to tell you about the next book, which is Dark X-Men, issue number 1 of a 5-issue limited series from Marvel Comics, obviously. Basically, everything I just said about the Uncanny Avengers book kind of applies to this one as well. They're telling a storyline that might be interesting, that might be along the lines of what I'm hoping the X-Men do, which is a huge reckoning. I want to see the X-Men and mutants in general taken down several pegs. And this might be someplace that's happening. But I mean, just look at the covers. I mean, that A cover, which I'm already sure we're past, but like the A cover with all of those amazing characters on it looks fantastic. The Adam Hughes cover of Madeline Pryor on there is fantastic. And then we have a second installment in that Alex Ross connecting homage to the X-Men 1, gatefold cover that came out in the 90s. So there's a lot of good stuff in a cover potential situation, and hopefully there's some cool X-Men stories being told there as well. Fingers crossed. For those of you who might be interested in collecting the full Alex Ross homage to X-Men 1 from the 90s, you're going to want to get the 2 books that I mentioned in this video just now. You're also going to want to pick up X-Men issue number 25. That came out 2 weeks ago. And then you're also going to want to pick up X-Men issue number 26 that comes out on September the 6th. The next book I want to tell you about this week is Daredevil, issue number 14 from Marvel Comics. Here's the really short description. The end. But of what? A life, a love, a marriage? Matt Murdock's time as Daredevil? Or the latest and greatest run in one of Marvel's most celebrated sagas? All of the above? So, the important thing about this book this week is that it is Chip Zdarsky's last issue of Daredevil, for the time being, but that's important. He's been writing Daredevil for years, and people have loved his Daredevil run. I'm a big Chip Zdarsky fan. I wasn't reading Daredevil. I've read a few of the issues here and there, but I wasn't really following it. But people across the board are saying what a great run Chip Zdarsky's Daredevil has been. And unfortunately, that's coming to an end. I wouldn't be surprised if it didn't end on some kind of significant note, considering how much people have enjoyed this run. So it's at the very least something to keep on your radar. The next book I want to mention to you is a new book. It is called Alpha Flight, issue number 1 of a 5-issue limited series from Marvel Comics. When I first saw the A cover, I was like, is this some kind of throwback timeline Alpha Flight story? But no, it's not. This is part of the Fall of X storyline that's happening right now. So this is the present time. Alpha Flight's an interesting team. It seems in a lot of ways like they're Canada's answer to the X-Men. I mean, they're kind of literally that, which kind of makes them for lack of a better way of putting it, the Diet Coke version of the X-Men. But that being said, there is value to Alpha Flight. From a storytelling perspective, rumor has it that there is going to be an Alpha Flight television show. That was a rumor I heard maybe a year or 2 ago. I haven't heard anything since, so who knows if that's actually going to happen. But this could be a fun story to check out. And if you're an X-Men and a mutant fan, you're going to be all over this already. The next book that I want to tell you about is a weird one. It is called Rare Flavors, issue number 1, Tasting Menu Ashcan from Boom Studios. This is really interesting. So it's from writer Ram V and artist Felipe Andrade. They've worked together before and to critical success. This is a new thing of theirs, and this is an ash can that they're putting out. Ash cans are often previews of comic books that are going to be coming out soon enough. Sometimes they're shorter, sometimes they're not colored, and they're just black and white. They're just, the inks and the text. I don't know what phase of Ashcan this one will be, but it's really, really interesting to me to see an Ashcan solicited on previews with a $2.99 price tag. How do you call it a Ashcan when it's almost as much as a normal comic book and it's being solicited through previews? Why isn't this just issue number 1? I thought Ashcans were promotional and oftentimes handed out for free. So this might just be my ignorance talking, but I don't fully understand this. That being said, this is from a super solid creative team. So it's something that you shouldn't ignore. It's something you shouldn't ignore. So it's something worth keeping on your radar. The price tag is pretty cheap. It might be worth picking up and trying out. You might save yourself $1 over if you had picked up issue number 1 as a sampler for this. So if you see this in your comic book store, maybe consider picking it up. If there's anything ever happens with this title, I think this will be the one to have. That's all of our honorable mentions this week. That takes us to the one book that I would buy this week if I could buy just one book. And that book is The Cull, issue number 1 of a 5-issue limited series from Image Comics. Here's the description. Eisner-winning writer Kelly Thompson and superstar artist Mattia de Ulis team up for their first creator-owned work together. Something is Killing the Children horror vibes with the Goonies-style adventure as 5 friends set off to shoot a short film on a forbidden rock near their home the summer before they all go their separate ways. But that's not really why they're there. One of them has lied, and that lie will change their lives forever. Well, this description kind of sort of got me with 2 things, and of course that is evoking the names of Something is Killing the Children, which I already mentioned earlier in this video is my favorite. I love it. Boom does this a lot because it's a big, successful title, so of course if it's a horror, they reference Something is Killing the Children, but it definitely perks me up and makes me interested, so success, Boom Studios. But then they also mentioned The Goonies, which is a fantastic movie that I love very much from my childhood and even into my adulthood. So the combination of the 2 is of interest to me. And then you throw in the description of how some friends get together to have a fun activity before they all go their separate ways, but things go sideways because that's not why they're really there and somebody's lying to them and things are going to develop. That sounds really pretty interesting to me. So they got me there. The promise of a creative team that has worked together doing their first creator-owned title is also interesting to me. Creators benefit a lot from creator-owned titles, so it's my opinion that the creators are going to put their best foot forward. They're going to do the best work that they possibly can on a creator-owned title, because if it's successful, then that's very good for them. So this is their first one. It makes me think that this is their best idea, and so I'm interested to see anybody's best idea, so that's one reason to check it out. And finally, I have to say, these covers, they got me. I think the covers are really, really great. I think the covers are really, really interesting. I myself am a cover A buyer. In general, I will not buy multiple covers of this, but I gotta tell you, if you chose to pick any of these covers because you liked the art particularly more than others, I don't fault you, because I actually think all of these covers are really fantastic. So I know this is a week that Something is Killing the Children. You might say, like, Jeff, you're more excited about The Cull than Something is Killing the Children? I just can't pick Something is Killing the Children every week. So in a week where Something is Killing the Children is out and I kind of ignore my love for it a little bit, and because of all the reasons that I mentioned of why The Cull has a lot of potential, this is why The Cull is my just one book pick for this week. Okay, that's it. I hope you found something interesting and informative in this video. Even if you didn't, hit that like button. I need the likes. Please give them to me. Now, they help the channel a lot. They help me out a lot. If you're interested in helping me out, please hit that like button. And if you haven't already subscribed, I would go ahead and invite you to do so now. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.